Morbius.
Hello, everyone. Sean here with my friend Jordan at Jordan's this time.
The dungeon.
That's right. We're in the dungeon, and we're going a little throwback this time around. I think we discussed it, the two of us, about like kind of revisiting the X-Men movies because it's been an extremely long time since I've seen this movie. I have not actually watched the first X-Men movie in its entirety since I saw it in theaters back in the year 2000. It's one of the first movies I ever saw in theaters. I think I saw this and Phantom Menace for like the first two movies I can remember seeing. And it was an interesting experience going back and watching the first X-Men movie. Because before going into that movie, I remember watching the X-Men cartoon and really liking the cartoon. And then seeing the movie and being like, oh, that's Wolverine. And then like just being kind of confused why I didn't have the yellow outfit, which they do make references to. But yeah, so the first X-Men movie is kind of like the first, I mean, technically Blade is, but like, I mean, that's more of an R-rated kind of niche thing. But
this is the first, like, mainstream Marvel movie.
Right. This is the first, like, big mainstream Marvel movie. I mean, they tried making other movies before in the 80s and 90s and weren't very good at all, aside from Blade, which is an awesome movie. But that one's, like, they don't really, like, advertise that so much as a Marvel movie.
Yeah, plus Blade, I mean, he's a really minor Marvel character anyways. You know. Not shitting on Blade, but, you know, I don't know anyone who's bought a Blade comic.
Blade 1 and 2 are awesome movies, by the way. We don't talk about Trinity. Yeah, so X-Men. Wow, that was an interesting experience going back and rewatching this movie for the first time. And
the CGI was wonderful and holds up 100% today. And definitely does not need to be reshot in any way, shape, or form.
Okay, so the first X-Men movie is kind of interesting. Because, like I said, I remember, like, it was kind of weird how much I actually did kind of remember some bits. So it did kind of leave...
Well, it's just full of iconic moments. I mean,
right, like the most iconic line in the entire movie. Do you know what happens to a toad that gets struck by lightning?
Same thing that happens to everything else, Sean.
Right, like, and then you're waiting for some big punchline. Like, no, that's just the line.
That's it.
This one, it's not, like, as fun or memorable as another movie that came out around this time. This is kind of like a prototype movie for, like, what's to come. Because, like I said, this is, like, the first time that really Marvel's trying to, like, figure this stuff out.
The budget's really not that big on this either.
It's only, like, $75 million. Yeah. And it definitely shows. It's not like this big, overly expensive movie.
They probably spent most of it on the actors because this is not a poorly cast movie, really.
No, the acting choice, like the actors in the movie are all pretty good for the most part.
Except for one. You know.
Yeah, pretty much just the one who's not like
a main character.
One of the main characters is not that good. Spoiler alert, it's Rogue.
I mean, this movie's been out for 22 years, I think, at this point.
I think everybody knows.
We can give spoilers.
So like the casting, like I said, the casting is really good. Hugh Jackman, this is like his big breakout role and the first thing. It's kind of weird going back and watching it because we know where things are now with Logan, which is an awesome movie. This is definitely a pretty dated prototype movie. There's some cool stuff that kind of like was like, you know, that held up a bit. Like there's some cool ideas here. I actually really like the dilemma in it, like between like there's even like
points on both sides.
Yeah, there's points on both sides that are like well orchestrated and well made. That actually makes it more fascinating. It just makes you wish that like it was kind of leading to something a little bit more exciting because the climax.
Oh, well, it does, Sean. I mean, X3's coming soon.
Well, let's talk about this movie right now. I mean, I've only seen X3 once, and I've only seen X2 like once. See, the thing with me in the X-Men movie is that I usually watch them once or maybe twice, and then that's it. Like I said, I have not seen this movie in over 20 years.
Brilliant movie.
Right. Like, there's a lot of characters in this thing, surprisingly. I mean, it is an X-Men movie, but, like, is it really an X-Men movie? It's more like Wolverine and his friends. I mean, like, this one actually kind of balances out a little bit more.
They really keep the X-Men kind of small, because how many named X-Men are there actually?
There's Wolverine,
Storm, Cyclops, Jean Grey. They briefly mention Kitty Pryde.
Shows up, Jubilee.
They don't even say Iceman by name.
Right, but they
don't say Jubilee by name either.
That's Bobby.
The only character they reference outside of those is Kitty Pryde, and she's in the screen.
Right, and then you got the other mutants like Magneto, played wonderfully by Ian McKellen. The cast is really good. Like I said, Patrick Stewart's perfect, like Charles Xavier. In fact, he still shows up and still dies in other movies as Charles Xavier. Charles, you're back. Oh, nope, never mind. I really like Ian McKellen. I liked James Marsden a lot as Cyclops. I like the dynamic he had with Wolverine. I thought they were pretty funny together. I forgot, or how hot Jean Grey was in this too. So like that was interesting going back and watching Family.
The costumes were designed definitely to show off Halle Berry and Frankie Jasmine. Is that her name?
Famke Jensen.
Famke Jensen.
She was also in GoldenEye.
Yeah, her name is hard to say. Yes, and that was also a classic movie.
Right. I also remember seeing another movie with her.
Corny in any way.
I saw another movie with her. It was I Spy. I remember that Eddie Murphy and Owen Wilson back in 2002. Kelly Robinson. That's one I remember enjoying quite a bit. Yeah, like we're getting like we're going back in time, the early 2000s, but like this one's not like I wouldn't say it's like a really over the top fun timeless movie like the first Spider-Man is. Like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies hold up way better.
Well, they had way more money too.
They had more money, but they're just better like made movies in general. Like Sam Raimi, like he makes things like more fun and exciting. Like this one, like it's definitely very serious. And it's like some of it, like the CGI definitely doesn't hold up. Like some of it actually work quite well, especially for the time being, because like they did a good job trying to hide like their budget at times, and like there's some good practical effects.
Very dark movie in terms.
It is
of, like,
a very dark movie
light.
In terms of you can't see half the shit that's happening.
And the characters wear black frequently.
Right, their costumes just like they even make a joke like, "What are you expecting? Yellow spandex?" Yes. Show some fucking color. It's the X-Men. Like I remember just watching the cartoon, like it had so much energy and life thrown into it. And you have this thing, it's just like the life is sucked out of it. And it's just kind of like, worst part of this movie is definitely Rogue. Her accent is really bad. Anna Paquin definitely got better as an actress and other things, but like Rogue she's just whiny, complaining, she can't unbuckle a seatbelt. I'm like, what is the point of you? Like
that was the common theme for these movies, right? That Rogue always sucks.
Right.
We'll explore in later films.
Right. Like yeah, she's definitely not very good. I like Mystique. Mystique was pretty cool. Like there's some things that like I kind of forgot about, like just like the way she would like you think it's something else, then it just like turns out to be Mystique. Like I like that bit. It's weird. It's like I'm just flashing back to when I was like in the theater like 20 years ago watching this thing. I remember like liking it at the time, and I still like think it's fine. It's okay. It's nothing like all that special. Yeah, it's like the first X-Men movie, but like as a movie in general, like there's a lot of slow parts that really drag the thing down, particularly like when Rogue is on screen, like just him or Wolverine talking. Like, for an X-Men movie, there's not really a lot of X-Men action or excitement in this thing. It's like a lot of boring, drawn out conversations. And this is a short movie too. It's like just over an hour and a half.
10 minutes of credits.
Right. And like it doesn't really like feel like it lives up to its full potential. It feels like it's setting up for a much more interesting movie.
First off, it does, right? Because X-Men 2, I think, is a lot more definitely interesting. And 3, we'll get the 3. But
right.
It's not.
Right. And then
it is an exciting movie, I guess, but we don't need to have a Last Jedi meltdown quite yet.
Right.
We got another movie.
Yeah, that was like your pre-Last Jedi movie with X-Men 3. God, we bring that movie up so much every single time.
It's really bad.
Right.
We're going to watch a really bad movie in a couple of weeks, so, we're bracing for it mentally.
Right. Like I said, this is like, we're just going to go through and revisit every X-Men movie and watch the X-Men movies that I haven't seen. I never saw The Wolverine. I've never seen Dark Phoenix, and I've never seen New Mutants, so those will be interesting ones to kind of go through and like watch. Because like I said, a lot of these X-Men movies, they vary so much in quality. You can have a masterpiece like Logan, and then you can have a real like piece of shit like
Origins or X3
or Dark Phoenix, like everyone says.
Yeah, I haven't seen Dark Phoenix.
I've seen some bits of Dark Phoenix.
I
just looked like
good.
Really bad. X-Men Apocalypse is another one that I just remember watching, where it's like it has one incredible scene, and that's the Quicksilver scene. Yeah. That scene, I'll watch that scene on its own. Like that's all I need. Like
they also take a funny shot at X3 in that movie as well, which I appreciated.
Oh yeah, that's right, they did.
Yeah, it was very clear too. You don't usually see movies talk shit about another movie.
They still ended up messing up with X-Men Apocalypse.
Not as bad as X3. God, we should probably review this movie and not. No, what I've noticed with this movie though, the pacing is kind of the biggest issue besides Rogue's acting, right?
And characterization, just being whiny and everything. There's not enough real development in this movie too. Like the story, like there's some interesting stuff in there. Like I said, you get to see the different perspectives of all the characters. Like that's an interesting thing. And there's some cool bits like with Magneto and the gun, like where he lifts up all the cars and he holds them at people's heads. Like, okay. But there's also some moments where like you should showcase their powers. And there's times where I feel like based on what we've seen, like they could easily escape various situations. Like why their powers just feel like, okay, it only like works when the plot needs them to.
Yeah, and Storm, they limit her in this movie too. I noticed, right? She only does lightning. I know in the comics she could do tornadoes, and in theory, really any weather-based attack.
Right, she does kind of
wanted
lift Wolverine up, but like then again, Jean Grey was able to lift up Toad at some point too. Like, why couldn't you just lift him up? Like, I don't know. Like, there's so much inconsistency.
Listen, they had to make sure every character got used at the end climax. So,
right.
Like that was definitely
there's no
clear.
explanation for how Mystique survives getting stabbed right in the stomach. That was kind of something. Well, we need it for the next movie. Like I said, I like Rebecca Romijn, and like I said, I really like the casting here. I'm trying to think if there's anyone. Well, I mean, outside of Jean.
Yeah.
Like I said, Ian McKellen's great as Magneto.
I mean, Sabretooth is kind of boring in this movie.
Sabretooth, it's kind of weird how we go from this to, like, Liev Schreiber in, like, Origins. But although I would prefer Liev Schreiber because he actually has personality and, like, more to him. I remember, like, Sabretooth just being kind of a dumb joke. Basically, that's what he's made out to be in these movies.
He's not a very exciting villain in general.
Right, there's, like, even, like, the action bits. Like, there's some bits that are kind of cool, but it's, like, it's not all that really exciting because I don't think because they just had the money.
Yeah.
The leather outfits just don't look great. And that's one thing I will say about the
good Fanky or however.
Right, I mean she looks good enough, but I'm like just the costumes just look they're kind of lackluster and like I'd rather just have a little bit more personality in the suits, like that's just more expressive. At least I'll say this about like First Class, like at least they added some color to the X-Men suits, like they just made them yellow and stuff. Like there's some really dark bits in this movie, like the opening sequence with Magneto in 1944, which they showcase. And it's also really hard to see too. Like I said, like this isn't like I wouldn't call this like a great movie by any stretch of the means. Like
it's a revolutionary movie, Sean.
No, it's not.
This movie led us to the creation of Morbius ultimately with the success of Sony, and that alone makes this a revolutionary film.
Right. I mean, that's true. Although we should mostly thank Sam Raimi's Spider-Man for that because Sony was
you probably wouldn't have got that without the success of the X-Men.
Well, no, let's think about this. That movie was already like in the process of being made in development hell for years, and before this, we had other superhero movies like the Batman films that kind of laid the groundwork for other superhero and Superman that afterwards. And Sony, remember Marvel at the time, they sold all their rights to different studios because they were like going bankrupt in the 90s. So that's why you had like various things at Sony, various things at Warner Brothers. You had things at Universal with Hulk. So yeah, like I wouldn't thank this for Morbius. Like that just feels like we're discrediting the amazing work done by Jared Leto and everyone else in it.
The best Joker. Yeah. No, this movie's. I think it's pretty good. Yeah, the pacing's the issue, right? I do like that there's no real origins in this movie, minus the intro with Rogue. Kind of, that's not really an origin. That's just kind of how she figures out.
Right, you don't really feel the team dynamic by this thing. Like, I don't feel like I know any of these people. Like, I mean, I know Wolverine, like, because like I said, I've seen other things. So like going into this thing, if you have no idea who the X-Men are, you're like, why does that character feel really important? Because this is only like minus the credits, it's just over an hour and a half long.
Yeah, they spend a lot of time, I think, on the Robert Kelly stuff. And this movie is more serious, right? Because it kind of deals with prejudices and things like that. So I guess it really shouldn't be, as funny as, the dumb Avenger movies and the nonsense they produced there. But
yeah, I mean, like I said, this is like it's interesting to kind of go back and like watch
very prototype movie.
Yeah, it's a prototype movie. But even then, like some movies, like we've seen, like I mean, I have to jump back over to DC for a second. Like the original, like Tim Burton's Batman movie, like that movie was like so much years in development, but it has its own unique vision, and it really kind of stands the test of time. I feel like it's unique. The score, like everything about it felt like big and bombastic. And the budget for that movie, granted inflation is involved, but it was like smaller than
I think they were trying to get away from that too, because I know you love the movie, but a lot of people are going to disagree with you on this one. Batman and Robin had gotten so preposterous,
right? Batman and Robin
silly.
Is so, but like
I think they wanted to do everything possible to be like, hey,
right. Blade came out, and Blade was like, I feel like Blade, you kind of owe some of the success of Blade to like X-Men,
and then X-Men's like, we're gonna be serious like Blade is. Now Blade has some cool stuff in there, which Blade's probably a better movie than this, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'd rather watch Blade than this. Like Blade has some worse CGI, But it's like that opening with the vampires and like that's fucking awesome.
But still just a welfare underworld. But we'll, this is an X-Men review. We don't need to get it.
Right, we're just kind of rambling because, like I said, this is like taking me back.
There's really not a whole lot to this movie, really, right? Because a lot of it's the Kelly stuff, and Magneto has kind of a half-baked plan. It's to turn out
his plan is like
into mutants,
turn people into mutants, and
it's really not gonna lead.
He probably should have tested it on more people. Like, I don't understand fully how it works. You're just supposed to just kind of roll with it. And like I said, it's the climax is kind of like lackluster. I remember bits of it. Like it. I mean, it's cool they're fighting on the Statue of Liberty, but it's just like the directing and that's just not fully exciting. Because like I said, it's a prototype movie for like what they're able to do kind of later on.
I think the Statue of Liberty part's pretty good, right? Like the fight with Toad. Toad's fun in this too. Like
Toad
he's like dancing around.
Yeah, Toad is like entertaining. Yeah. I think like my favorite aspect to the movie is probably the rivalry between Logan and Scott. Yeah. I like that.
The train station scene is probably my favorite part of this. Where they have the gun. And
right,
bullets pressed to the head. I mean, it gets it's a serious movie.
Right, like I said, there's some interesting stuff in here, and like I said, it's a prototype movie,
and I'm willing to give them passes on the CGI because
it's 2000. Yeah, right. Like I said, they're still learning their craft a little bit. I mean, we are spoiled now with all the stuff we got today, so it's a little like there's lenience there, but then there's also like there's other movies that came out before that are comic book films that still like to me hold up and are more exciting than like this first X-Men movie. I think, like I said, its pacing is an issue. Maybe some bits it's a little too like. I mean, like I said, you can have a good serious X-Men movie. Logan's a really great, fantastic serious X-Men movie, but like this one, it's just like it felt kind of dry in some bits. Like it needed a little bit more personality with it, and like maybe shot to where we can see a lot of it because it's like so freaking dark.
Yeah, there's very few scenes in the daytime. Like I think once the train scene happened, it's pretty much night the rest of the movie.
Right, even the beginning, like it's like you can't really see what's happening. And it's like the color corrections like kind of ugly. It's kind of like that. Like when, for instance, like when Wolverine is driving with Rogue and his...
on the motorcycle.
Well, not the motorcycle. Well,
that
motorcycle scene looks really bad. But like when Wolverine's driving with Rogue, like when she like sneaks a ride in his like little vehicle there, like the color grading just looks ugly to look at. It's like this like I don't know, like that. You know how like sometimes there's like the negative film, like where you can like this. The color is just it's visually not appealing to look at. Like just the shots in that are kind of like.
Also, why did Rogue go to Canada? Did it ever explain that?
No, like she's just like there.
I
don't know. Yeah, I don't know how she ended
all
up
the
there.
way to rural Canada. What a terrible area.
I don't know how she ended up there. Like you just gotta roll with it.
There's a lot of things in this movie it doesn't really explain. You just
you just kind of have to kind of
like
roll
how does Magneto or Professor X afford this big school for mutants? Never really explains it in the comics either. Just
maybe because he's smart and he used his mind stuff to like play the stock market. Insider trading. That's not going to go.
Oh my god, that's actually probably the best fan theory I've ever heard.
He used his brain to read different things so he could do insider trading without like anybody realizing he's on the inside. And then he played the stock market, and then that's how he got his money. That's what the theory I'm just going to make up on the spot because I don't know if it's ever really explained in these movies.
And the other thing too, Magneto is a really incompetent villain too. I've noticed, right? Because he could just rip, Wolverine his spine out, which he did in one of the comics. He never really does it. He just kind of like holds them off.
Yeah, he's kind of like Charles, like where they both kind of half-ass things.
He could easily have killed all four of the X-Men, done his half-ass plan, which, mind you, even if it succeeded, right, would have probably just pissed off humanity and got the mutants killed in the long run, which is the plot of Days of Future Past. So, I guess we have the gift of foresight,
Right. Like I said, that's the interesting because we do have foresight.
We know what happened. And
things that go later on. Although some movies I haven't seen, but so anyways, do you have any final thoughts on the first X-Men movie?
Yeah, it's enjoyable. I would score this probably like 7-8. I mean, is it the best superhero movie I've ever seen? No. But is it gonna like offend you like Batman and Robin? God, no. I mean, it's better than other movies from this era too, certainly like Ang Lee's Hulk, which...
Yeah, this is better than Ang Lee's Hulk.
There's a lot of things better than Ang Lee's Hulk.
Ang Lee's Hulk is really awful. But like this one, like I said, I like it just fine.
Better than Blade Trinity.
I haven't entirely watched Blade Trinity.
Yeah.
But like this one, like it's like a 6 6.5 maybe out of 10.
I mean, I wanted to give it
because like I said, I've seen other movies of this era better, and like even like trying to like put it in the perspective of like the time frame. Like even as a kid, like this is not one I revisit a lot. Not like something like the first Spider-Man movie, which came out only 2 years later. Like that movie's full of personality, life.
Well, the X-Men movie that comes out after this too is also significantly better.
Right. Like
too.
I said, this is just a prototype thing, and you got to give some lenience in that regards. But,
also,
like,
Stan Lee made his first cameo in this movie.
And he doesn't like say or do anything. But like I said, it's still cool to see Stan Lee.
Yeah, it's funny because they start off very mild, right? You just see him at a hot dog stand, and then the last Stan Lee cameo I made, you think he's doing an orchestra type thing in the library.
Yeah,
very goofy ending, but. Yeah, it's good. It's a good movie. It's enjoyable.
Yeah, it's enjoyable. Like I said, it was cool to kind of revisit it.
This isn't the review you want to watch, so you'll want to come back when we get to X3.
Right, but you still want to sit and watch our X2 because I don't think I've seen X2.
Yeah, X2 is a really good movie. Based off of God Loves
Wasn't that like
Man Kills.
Was Nightcrawler the one that had that opening fight scene?
Yeah.
Okay, I remember that bit.
Yeah.
So many years. It's been over 20 years since I sat.
It's a great scene. X2 is a really well-made movie, and it's based off of, we'll touch base. I actually have the comics based off of, which is God Loves Man Kills, which I don't really buy many comics, but that one is pretty exceptional.
Right, you're more of an X-Men expert than...
Nah, I'm not an expert.
An expert.
I hate you, Sean. No, that's probably my favorite comic series. A lot of the things, too... This isn't a comic review, but a lot of the movie takes some liberties and
definitely takes some liberties and like
they go more off the Chris Claremont X-Men 2, like the Magneto Holocaust thing, than the original Stan Lee, where X-Men just kind of, or Magneto's kind of a blah villain who doesn't really do much.
Right.
So,
they did something to kind of add to it a bit, but
yeah.
But anyway, so that's the first X-Men. We're going to be going through and watching every X-Men movie over the course of the couple weeks or something like that. Just trying to like get through the whole series, and it'll be fun to kind of revisit something and like experience some movies for the first time in a long time.
Wildly inconsistent series of all time.
This is 100% true. The X-Men series is all over the place with the timeline that everybody says makes absolutely no sense.
And some of them are brilliant movies. Some of them, as we mentioned earlier, are less than
I'm excited
brilliant.
to revisit Logan, but it's going to be sad when we get to like Dark Phoenix and New Mutants, because that's like just...
I'm going to go into Dark Phoenix though. I thought the movie might not be that bad. Is it really?
I don't know. I heard New Mutants is really, really bad.
I mean, that I don't even know what New Mutants is. Isn't that a TV show?
No, it's a movie. It was like it's on Disney Plus.
Oh.
We're gonna get to it because that was the movie that was like delayed for like several years. It just kept like getting pushed back, and then it finally came out, and everyone just hated it. So
we're gonna include the beautiful Deadpool movies in this.
Yes, we are talking every X-Men.
Well, those are good. Yeah, there's a lot of good movies in the series.
Right, and we already talked about Doctor Strange, so that kind of has some X-Men connections.
We don't need to rewatch that.
Yeah, and like I've already talked about all the MCU movies on my channel at some point, but we're going back in time to like
we'll get the Hulk one on here too.
We should just like visit like all old Marvel movies like from like this era onward, including X-Men. Like let's get the like non MCU ones, but like you know what I mean.
Well, MCU, non MCU. I mean,
well, it's all connected, but you know pre MCU like superhero movies like Daredevil, Elektra.
Daredevil's got some sweet music in it,
Evanescence.
Yeah, movie. I've only seen them, more times than I cared to admit on Sean's channel.
Daredevil's actually kind of fun, bad. Like Colin Farrell is really entertaining.
At least Elektra looks great too. I mean,
right. The Elektra movie is pretty bad.
Yeah.
Man-Thing, the Fantastic Four movies are all like I'd rather watch the first.
The first Fantastic Four is not that bad. It's cheesy, but it's better than the second one
technically there's been 4 Fantastic Four movies. There's the 90s one.
Oh, the 90s one does.
Howard the Duck is still really bad too. That's the first Marvel
George
movie.
Lucas, I believe, made that movie too.
Yep, and it has Duck.
And it's still not as bad as The Last Jedi, which George Lucas didn't make, but he created the concept of.
Right. But yeah, like I said, we'll see what we do. We'll kind of want to revisit X-Men for a bit, and then maybe we'll go back and look at some other old school Marvel stuff. But anyways, thank you, Jordan. This was fun to do. Talk about the old
This
X-Men
review is almost as long as the movie.
Right, we're already like a third of the movie. So if you've seen the original X-Men or you have any thoughts on it, let us know in the comments section down below.
My one final thought, a lot of the kids who watch these MCU movies have probably never seen this, have they? If you're under 30, I mean, there's a good chance you probably haven't watched this film.
Yeah, like I said, you never know because I mean, the X-Men franchise is so all over the place to the point where like I got so burnt out and tired of it. Like I was like, I don't need any more X-Men movies.
Yeah.
Because it went on for so long. Like it went on for almost 20 years of just things, and still technically continued in Doctor Strange 2, when you see Charles Xavier show up,
And
but
die.
and die. Well, I mean, spoilers. I mean, he always dies. It's just a variant. So, but yeah, like I said, that was X-Men. And also, when they do the Fox logo, they freeze on the X. So
Pull up the X, baby. And then you can do the DX too.
yes, DX. Let's end it with that. All right, that's all I got to say. As always, take care now. Bye bye then, and we'll see you all in the next
Like and
video.
subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Peace out. Next time, X2, your favorite.